Welcome. So glad that you can join me here in this enchanted forest as we cover today's lesson 144, day 165, and welcome to this place. My name is Reverend Maria Arvana-Davies, and I'm so glad that you have joined me here in this space. Provided much value with your presence, greatly appreciated. This is an audio visual version of the Sovereign Light, a course in metaphysical spirituality. And it's named after my ministry, the Sovereign Light. I do have a group, a private group, that for some reason has no idea what the purpose of this ministry is. Perhaps hasn't given it a chance to participate or have any interest or time to really give it a go. And with that said, every day adds a little more detail to this work in progress. There is no destination, only a soulful connection that you either have or you don't. And joining it with your awareness to build this team of oneness so that we may light the way with greater purpose and guidance rather than asleep and unawakened spiritually to be guided and enslaved by others who claim they have the answers outside of them in a worshiping manner of idealism. All these bits and pieces make up the whole, the greater aspect of this purpose that we're on, and the soulful mission to awaken within the body and soul with consciousness, imagination, and the many applications that we bring forth to integrate and work on, as within, so without, as above and so below. We can, with your interest being the value, to bring forth and say, hey, why don't we do this? Or I like working on the imagination, and I hope that I can someday get to that level of remote viewing or remote viewing, or perhaps channeling. And so what do we do with this kind of connection? What is this connection that we hold within this group? Could it be a space to become more aware of it through our disconnect? What is this disconnected, disempowering that leads us in a way that we might learn the illusion from the shadow to empower and take hold of our own inner light to guide and integrate as one connecting factor with each other on a soulful level. So these answers of, do you have a plan? Do you have a vision? What is the vision? Could it be possible that it might be furthest from the truth to say, I have no business plan? I am not your leader. Is it safe to say this within this ministry that has been created called the Sovereign Light? I am one with creation, and that brings forth this platform for all creator beings alike to come forth, and we can work alongside, hand in hand, to bring about this age, this era, from the material to the ethereal, and so on and so forth, of Aquarius. You know, and I think perhaps the ego mind has had a lot to say and justify the cause of being. This is what we're doing. If you don't like it, as a matter of fact, we're doing things without any real expectation. No pressure. The resilience, the resistance, and all these other things of ego mind creations. Just let them go already. You know, what is my business plan and what am I going to offer as a servant and as service to others? And yada, yada, la-di-di-da. How would this be any different from any other ministry? As a matter of fact, why not create another enterprise that is for profit, which I have been doing very transparently, working on. As a nonprofit organization, from a business advice that I have received and done my research, it is very not easy, let's put it this way, to create something that is actually a nonprofit. As a matter of fact, nonprofit organizations push for more money and expectations through charitable foundations and what have you. This is how perhaps it gets started. The pushing, pushing, pushing. I want money, give me money, begging, whatever it takes. A corrupted way of being is not what this new path is about. And whether it be legalized entity of nonprofit, this ministry, or just in the ethereal as a non-proof of anything, other than to be a place that makes us happy in endorsing our authentic nature and accepting this to come forward as supportive environment, safe enough to ask away and get involved and interact. Okay, so why not start on this for this group special? However, you can find me on Patreon. And it's not one thing I'm working on. It's a few things I'm working on at a time, simply because I'm looking at it from a higher self perspective. The more I get into this narrow-minded little me perspective, then I have to shift and move out of it, take a step back, because it starts to hurt and feel very uncomfortable. And I'm sure you probably felt that in this group. Sometimes if you have, these triggers are great. We can all bring them up and discuss what it is and work through them. So with that said, you can always join me too on my Love's Creation Unlimited channel. I think I'm also starting something on Odyssey. And I think perhaps I'm keeping a record on the library. I don't know how that's working, but nobody's teaching me or showing me the way. And with that said, let's begin. And let's take a few deep breaths in and out. And just find this imagination from within to come to life from your own personal center, your emerald heart, to congregate within this place, your heart, and open with a sigh in every breath. And you can opt to have your eyes closed and work on this thing called imagination and inner visualization. Or you can remain on the surface and keep them open. When I say cheating, and with that, let the music find you. Your inner voice. Perhaps this music from within. And anchor, ground through the sole of your feet and root yourself. Into the mother, the nurturer of this energy that has brought into this material, solid form through the information that circulates to create it. Our red blood cells. And the boundaries that we form and protect with our white blood cells. And as we go deeper into the dark blood cells that we may purify. Our feet. Levels 5, 6, and 7 that aren't even really discussed so much to go into the invisible realities. From which we alchemically shift into creation, moment by moment, to transfigure every snapshot. Enough with the ad-libbing, and that is a bonus to receive in the unfolding of the divine presence. The unexpected element of surprise to add value. And as we begin excerpts, pages 456, we are entering into out of 852, 57, 58, 59. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 pages from the novel The Sovereign Light, A Course in Metaphysical Spirituality. And with that said, I will begin to read. The world holds nothing for the self when its mind has disconnected it and from its heart. The only relevance that this container must exhibit is artificially and from its cyborg mind creation. Those thoughts that are not of the self and belong to the ego mind will not feel good. It is these thoughts made by a higher collective agreement, and that the self can only but revisit into a formality which it cannot move from, outgrown from the dried up outer world and not knowing how to change it. And whenever you're ready, just listen to these words and activate yourself throughout the day in thought of this affirmation. Let them absorb and sink in. Or better yet, say them out loud. And why not right here and now? To opt for this opportunity to repeat them after me. Sounds good. The way I see the world contributes altruistically to its perspective and on the imprinting of all that is creation. Just breathe that in for a moment. way I see the world contributes altruistically to its perspective and on the imprinting of all that is creation. The way I see the world contributes altruistically to its perspective and on the imprinting of all that is creation. Just breathe that in for a moment. In the previous lesson that was so long ago, it seems, as a matter of fact, it was around the lest we forget memorial poppy sensation. I'm not going to go into another thing at this moment of our parallel realities of future and past on Mars, but we will learn from our warlike behavior. On another day, another topic, we can discuss this further, open it up for discussion. Hint, hint, the room in our group, we can possibly go there and interact, and throwing this theme out there. So in the previous lesson, learning of co-creating with the many other aspects of the self to aspire, and in the practice of keeping down a journal, when something has outgrown from its purpose once given to it, the self no longer is served by it. I'm getting Aztec and Egyptian at mind right now, and some conflicting things, tribal warfares that have gone in the past, perhaps. I'm bringing that in for some reason. Barbaric behaviors, childlike traumas of our humanity. In any event, what the self perceives from its world is but a mere byproduct of its past, and not to be compared for any real value within the present here and now moment. You know. So we have some great examples of you know, scaring people away and not wanting, you know, Attila the Hun's coming to mind, scared off the Turks in his own way, and let that be a lesson. And in the way, Mars is one of those things that let it be a nuclear war lesson of what can happen, what has happened. And does it merge and be as one with the machine and or act as its maker to be respected in a way that takes up ownership and values for its heart wide open? How the feeling goes with self-worth and becomes its condition. The future is its perception in the now where it stands already created. Without the heart, it can become a cyborg. And thus the importance of opening the heart rather than to close it and shut it down completely. So this book cannot stress enough the importance of awareness through the heart, and is at the basis from where it must begin the process toward enlightenment. So what is the purpose of this closed group ministry? Oh my goodness, every lesson, if you haven't already picked up the book, or somehow kind of indicating that you have by asking what the purpose of this group is. Every last paragraph of each and every 319 lessons ends with the purpose of today's lesson. All right. With my right or left. I find it easier to. Oh, yeah, it's like that. So much easier. And just keep breathing. Take it all in. Steady now. The way I see the world contributes altruistically to its perspective and on the imprinting of all that is creation. The body and its world is not to be the inhibitor, rather the catalyst for inspiration in the perception of an adventurous life. Something within the mind to compare the off and or on balance and moderation to a healthy lifestyle, and for these applications made custom to fitting on for its container, well or self within it. This whole sentence became a run-on paragraph if you take it from a masculine point of brainwash program. Huh? What? However, it is a contradiction from the feminine application with no punctuations, with no commas, no semicolons. And as I go through it again meticulously through this kind of revising, do I bring the masculine to better understand and exhibit for others to be able to follow along and actually get it. So just remember, you know, there's many levels to consciousness. These distortions that hold the worth of self-esteem and ego mind strive to gain over the feeling perspective, and with its appearances to constituting over the well-being. And you're gonna find when you're channeling and writing freestyle like that, and This is how it comes out when you're interpreting. If you're going to stop to say, oh, what about the punctuations? You lose contact. The message gets lost. So, to move in the direction of stress is the rife of holding on to great resistance, and that to undesirable circumstances held in by force. To be present willingly in. Promoting this exchange of energy for material gain is simply draining of resources and not really surviving nor thriving, rather becoming a consumable to decay, aging, and death. It's a very edgy, jagged way of living, creates stress. It's like, I'll give you an example. You're in a car, you're driving. You're already being told what the speed limit is. Then you get these bumps on the road. Not only do you get these bumps on the road, but then you get stop signs. Not only do you get stop signs. Okay, I'm not going to go even deeper into the actual little things that show and take pictures of you apparently to how much you might be going over the speed limit. But let's just go even simpler and more surface to this, where I'm getting at. You're driving. Red light. Green light. Red light. Green light. How does it feel? Bloody stressful, uneasy. So that's one interpretation and one example I'm giving exactly of what I'm reading here. And worth cannot be found within a parasitic, delayed moment of uncertainty and doubt to cherish from its leftovers. So we're going shopping to buy some food. And each and every time we go there, we get ripped off. We not only pay 4 times of what it's worth, but we get something that is prematurely picked, thrown about. So what we get here is an abuse of the actual product and a rape from its natural beauty that it offers. And we bring it home and we have to wait, and perhaps then it will show that it will ripen. At times I find myself baffled because I actually look at the things that they're going to throw out, and they put with a Sharpie marker. They find this at Walmart or at the Asian stores, and they do 50% off. And I buy it. And I find, oh, this is so juicy. I'm going to eat it right now. And I sure get my money's worth. And it's like, so wow, man, is this ever something, you know? And people would rather just see it thrown out than consume it, where everybody is at a loss. Nobody benefits from this kind of service. So that's just one thing there. I'm not going to divulge any more secrets, because then we'll have more issues, because everybody wants And rather than be creative, we want to compete. And so let's wake up and join each other in a creative God being kind of way. And so promoting this exchange of energy for material gain is simply draining of resources. Worth cannot be found within a parasitic, delayed moment of uncertainty. The self-made prison world has cast the minds of the many through to believing how stuck the self is, and with its condition that no longer serves it. The idea for the day is to see how high the self can rise from this perception of feeling stuck, worthless, and from a world it co-created. And I have no idea what my limitations on this Zoom experience might be. But this is fun. And so allow to feel the relief of home and the soothing interest of its welcoming. The way I see the world contributes altruistically to its perspective and on the imprinting of all that is creation. That kind of thing. What brave soul would step forward and, even for $1 million, edit this book or novel? Not a chance. And so because it would just take away so much of the experience working on this together. So feel grateful throughout the day. Feel grateful to gravitationally be pulled out of the misery and drawn into a background that is most preferred to manifest. Does it know where it belongs? Does the self know where it belongs? Do you know where you belong? Do I know where I belong? Surely yes. And let's justify the cause of being. Because now it is made to feel better from where it did not know before. To feel at least as much. Throughout the day, and when confronted with a conflict, exercise the learning of these levels, and by setting up some boundaries, just remember the white blood cells. To remember the value of importance for this idea. And the structure of the skeletal system and lymphatic system. Oh, can we go into another meditation? So rest within these boundaries respectively for love here and now. To be restored from all the mindless chatter and the freedom to feel. Staying open through the love generating perspective can become a new way at busyness, rather than the ego self-driven mind format that ruled over its other dried up world. Further exercise the setting up of boundaries and where it can be found a place before ending or starting this linear concept. Endless cycle of inner and outer and the day throughout its many experiences that we engage to encounter with others, and maybe during lunch break to calm the breath with the eyes closed, slow it down and find your center. Peace, stillness. Let it think. Feel. Purity, refreshing over. Beautiful stream going over and through the many pebbles. Through your bloodstream and cells. Refreshing, rejuvenating. This dark, beautiful light that is in between your waking and your dream sleep. The lucid part of our awareness. And then with eyes open, look at everything again as to be as praiseworthy and made from self-value. The way I see the world contributes altruistically to its perspective and on the imprinting of all that is creation. The world is now where it belongs, and the self belongs in it just as much as it's released from the previous one it flew away from. You're not actually leaving. It's called shape shifting. We're shifting from one reality to another. And while we do this, we must forget. We become forgetful of the previous reality. And this is how we're not changing the world, we're changing in it. We're changing our perspective, we're changing from our very DNA level. Okay. So by feeling in the presence of the now moment, rest in the knowing that best serves self-value to its world. What are we alchemically creating? From the unseen to the seen. Nothing is ever lost or gained. So be still to this peace of mind, open to the once held in place perspective of the many chains and its conditions. now to be opportunities to grow and flourish with. I often wonder, what am I learning from these patches of cold patches around my physical body where it feels pain, and the blockage that this cold is creating? There's no circulation. What am I learning from this? What am I blocking? What am I not giving to myself or allowing myself? Oh my gosh. I can't even begin to describe. Right now, my root chakra and what I'm allowing in my sleep to enter. It's like, I've never had this cold sore here before. Wow, what's leaving? It must be leaving. Or is it entering? Or is it, what is going on? But I am releasing a lot of things and going through so much right now. I don't know if it's my kidneys or my crown or what the heck. We're going through these kind of transitions, upgrades, I don't know, but wow, sometimes right now is perhaps what I'm going through and not allowing or haven't been given the proper deserving things. I'm gonna say, but yeah, it's and it's reflecting in my dreams and everything that's happening. It's like, wow, you know, when you're finally independent, because we're in an ego matrix here, okay, and we're creating we're like glass. It's like glass. This is how it feels. Okay, and oh yeah, you can actually hurt yourself trying to go through it. and it's, what are we creating here, folks? So these boundaries, make sure what exactly it is we're doing here with these boundaries, okay? And what kind of matrices, I mean, because we can transcend and we can do all these things, but then we come back down again. We create another matrix to come down and play in, right? We can't just be up there in the clouds. And so this is something we can talk about again. You know, I mean, it's all in this book. So let's keep going. Yes, we're going back to this book here. So repeat the following and with most certainty. The temptations are but of my own creation to learn from and allow my soul to grow. The way I see the world contributes altruistically to its perspective and on the imprinting of all that is creation. The purpose for today's lesson is to be responsible and claim ownership of yourself, as well as having its part in these artificial intelligent agreed upon creations. And most importantly, to function through the heart vibration that is love here and now. Naturally, we are all deserving to engage with one another, to co-create with one another, to love one another, to share and partner up and live with each other and amongst each other, or share accommodations or bonds or agreements, or, you know, without having to, well, we're in such a world where we don't deserve it. We get thrown out and disconnected from nature. And then we gotta earn it back with our testosterone way of seeing through. Very warlike, very, okay, take over and impregnate everything and everyone and kill those that do not. Just cast them out and this is our land, this is our territory, and oh, this is your home? Oh, you're paying us how much each month to deserve to have the privilege of being in this community, owning your own home? Well, then you have to pay a monthly maintenance fee. And you have to pay for the children's schools and property taxes and all these things. Okay, fine. But you also have to allow us to come in whenever we say we have to inspect for your own protection. We need a key to your place. What am I paying? And then I'm programmed to feel or think that I need a man so that all the other men could stay away from me and feel protected. And it's not just that. It's a way of thinking, a way of being that the value is in the strength that comes through one hormone called testosterone. And you know, I'm putting it forth to the guys too, because once you get to a certain level as the alpha male, then you go over the edge. You go over the edge and you find that it's like the comfort of a cocoon and a caterpillar going into a butterfly. You find that, oh my gosh, these guys are willing to give out all their money to get a sex change. And then you find, well, they've done all this military and all this warlike thing, and then the end result is they're willing candidates to undergo surgery. What does that tell us? I'm not hating on anybody, but it's saying something. And I can go on and on with various examples, even from the 90s, even from the foods we eat that David Icke is complaining about, and others are freaking out about, and introducing the AI entity and presence to kind of have more control over this in the way of cyborg and get everybody to go down with them in an artificial construct recreation of nature. Anyway, that's just fine. There are other more intelligent, mature ways, and all we have to do is just and accept each other, and perhaps what is considered as weakness can be the strength that soothes and rebalances all of these unbalanced alchemical realities that we have accepted and compromised into. Just putting it out there. There's a lot of things we can discuss. And as we slowly start to come around, I will leave you with these last words. The way I see the world contributes altruistically to its perspective and on the imprinting of all that is creation. Thank you so very much. And I am going to test this out now. Just take some time to come back around and let your eyes open if you haven't already. Take a few deep breaths in. I always like to just stretch my arms out and up. Thank you so very much.